You've probably noticed that I haven't been uploading too much recently, and that's because we're at the end of the semester, and that's when like all the things are due all at once, and I have to make sure that I'm getting an A in my classes. And speaking of which, last week I was able to I finished my homework and got an A, or will be getting an A when grades are submitted for my Fourier analysis class. And that class was tough. It was, part of the reason it was tough is because I kind of stopped doing homework and really truly following along. I mean, I was following along in class, but I wasn't like reviewing my notes and stuff like that, because I wanted to do more research. I thought that there was going to be a paper come out, or not a paper come out soon. I shouldn't say that, but I kind of got a whiff of that. Oh, this could be a paper. And me and my advisor were talking about it. So, I got distracted by the shiny object when I probably should have, in hindsight, I should have done the homework early on in the semester and then forget about it and then just do the research after that part. So I guess live and learn. But everything's good. I got an A. The other class, the convex geometry course, he gave us a take-home final. It's 6 problems from the textbook that he teaches from. Some of these problems we have seen in class before. He gave to us as exercises. And I was making a video earlier where I actually show the problems, but I decided to scrap it and not talk about it because technically it's a final, but I mean, I don't really think he would care too much because they are from a textbook. He does show us a lot of stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure he solved problem number 6 for us in class the day he gave it. So probably not a crime if I show it, but to be on the safe side, I'm gonna not do it. I gotta make sure that's turned in because, I'm gonna be busy here in like the next week to, the first week of the summer, which is kind of what I want to talk about next. But before I do that, I want to mention my trigonometry class. So last week I gave them an exam. It was their 3rd exam, and 1 week later, about a week and a half later, they have to take their final. So it kind of got crammed there at the end, but it is what it is. But I did grade them, and I submitted grades this weekend, and they did pretty well on exam 3. I'm kind of happy to see that. I was a little bit worried because I knew it was a lot of material, and I don't want to hurt anybody, but I do expect them to, put in some effort. But the average was right where it needed to be. Nothing crazy, no bimodal distribution. And now we have to worry about the final exam. So this finals week, I am giving them extended office hours, which I emailed them today, probably a little bit later than I should have, but I'm going to give them extended office hours so that if they want to come and talk to me and ask me questions. I don't really know too much about the final. I mean, I do have the final. It's a block final, which means that me and everyone else that teaches trigonometry, we give this final exam. People come in and take it. It's the same. Well, I mean, there's different seeds, but essentially we're all. It's a standardized test. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a standardized test, so the course coordinator has a lot of influence as to what the tests look like. So it's kind of out of my hands, and I don't want to give people too much help, if you know what I mean. But if they want to come to me and ask me questions about like, hey, can we review the unit circle, or can we review the Pythagorean identities and all that good stuff, then this is their opportunity to come and talk to me. So I want to make sure that I give them that opportunity. Anyway, you get the idea. After that, probably going to tidy up this apartment. It's needing it pretty badly, to say the least, but it's not too bad. But then I have to switch gears and get prepared for the summer courses. So I thought it would be, I can't remember if I've made this video recently, but I think what happened is I thought about making this video and then I never did. And then because I thought it was like, oh, I already made that video. Like I tricked myself into thinking I actually made it. So it has been about 3 years, not quite 3 years, but almost 3 years since I've entered in the PhD program. And I thought that I would give like a summary of all the classes I've taken and maybe think back to what was going on that time and essentially self-reflect is what I'm trying to say. I want to do some reflection. Maybe because this first year here was not recorded and put on the channel. In fact, even this much wasn't even on there. So let's look at this. In fall 21, I remember I took Measure Theory 1 and Abstract Algebra 1, as well as the GTA training. These are the 2 courses that you have to take when you're in pure mathematics. And then you take the qualifiers in that. And I remember this was when I met the analysis instructor, which pretty much taught all my classes after. Not all of them, but most of them. And his reputation, he had a reputation for being like super, super brilliant. And I remember thinking at that time, like, oh, what a great honor. Not that I'm not saying that now. I'm just saying that I had heard about him before I entered the program. I was like, I wonder what this guy's about. And then he ended up teaching this class. I was like, oh, I know this guy. And then the abstract algebra instructor, he was also really good because he knew what qualifier exams were like, and he organized the course to help us succeed, essentially. So everything in that course was built to help us succeed for the test. And then GTA training, you know, they teach you basically how to teach and make sure that you're competent. And I remember that class was pretty packed with us because in fall 21, you know, because of the disease or the I guess we can say coronavirus on YouTube now, but that year kind of, they didn't really hire anyone. I mean, I think they did. I don't really know much about what my university was doing during COVID, like how many people they hired, but I remember they kind of missed 1 year in terms of hiring new people. And then during this period, they hired a bunch of new people. And I was one of the members of the big batch. So there was a lot of people in this GTA training course. And then spring 22, I took the follow-ups, Measure Theory 2, Abstract Algebra 2, and then I also took Complex Analysis 1. I remember this scared me, this class, because I'd never taken complex analysis before at the undergrad level or anything. I remember really wanting to. I think I've mentioned this many times before. But this was the first time taking it, and I took it with this guy that teaches the measure theory, and he teaches a very advanced version of it. So you can imagine how scared I was because what was I going to do? I went from 0 to 60 overnight. And essentially, I don't really remember learning much, I think, in that class, but I got the Churchill-Brown book in complex analysis and kind of read through that to help fill in the gaps that I had. I won't say, I mean, obviously I learned something in the class, but the book, I think, taught me a lot. So I'm very much indebted to that book because I found it was an old book that was lying on a table that said free books. You've probably seen this before. And I just picked it up and I was like, I'd like to have a complex analysis book. So I took it home and it was a really good book. Very easy to read. If you want to teach yourself complex analysis, I highly recommend Churchill and Brown. It was also during this semester that I realized that I probably wasn't going to pass the qualifying exam if I did not start immediately. So in like January of 2022, I started aggressively studying for the qualifying exam because I really wanted to pass. And then in the summer of that year, they gave us 2 special topics, or I guess the term is enrichment courses. One was a PDEs course and the other was a Lie algebra course. So this was like the applied math course that they teach, and this was the pure math course. And I remember that summer was just all practice. I mean, they didn't really give us quizzes or anything or tests. This is kind of like you have to show up. It's more of an attendance grade. That's why I use the term enrichment. But outside of these classes, it was just nothing but studying. And then at the end of the summer, we took the quals for measure theory, complex, and abstract algebra. And I passed the algebra one, but I did not pass the analysis one. And that's when I got really upset. Because I studied basically from here to here, like 8 months or so. And if you watch the interview with Emily Hoops Boyd, which is the 9th one I did, at the very end of that interview, I talk about the movie we made, and if you're curious where on the timeline that movie was made, we made it in fall 21, and by 22 she had got a new job. So that was the first year. It was a fun year, but it did not end happy. Unfortunately, I really wanted to pass that test, but it didn't happen. And then during fall 22, I took complex analysis 2 with the same guy, potential theory with the other analysis guy. If you're not familiar with potential theory, it's kind of like a mixture of complex analysis and measure theory. It's kind of an interesting course. I wish I should go back and review my notes, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to find time. And then I took probability theory 1 with so probability theory is an applied course, so it's not really recommended for us to take, but it's not, okay, I should say it's not required for us to take, but they do recommend it because it is a useful course for people that like measure theory. And when I said I liked measure theory, they said, okay, why don't we recommend you take probability? And I'm glad I did that because the instructor, as I've mentioned before, was absolutely fantastic. And if I had to pick a favorite of all the classes I'm going to show you and have shown you, I would say the probability theory sequence was my favorite. Yeah, I was going to mention like which one on this list was the worst one, which is obvious, but to me it's obvious, but I'm not going to point it out just for obvious reasons. So that was fall 22. I was also worried about whether or not taking the retake for the qualifier in January, and I thought about it in this semester, and I realized I probably wasn't going to get enough time to prepare for it because this was a demanding semester. So I was like, okay, let's wait and do it later. And then in spring 23, I took analytic number theory and problems of uniqueness, or problems in uniqueness, whatever it's called, and the follow-up course for probability. This is when I started making YouTube videos. So if you go to the channel and go to the very first video I made, I started recording like right around in here between these two semesters, or at the beginning of this one. I think it was at the beginning of this one. So that test I was worried about. So I should mention, if you don't remember, the qualifier exam that was to be offered in this semester at the end of 22, beginning 23. The guy had written another one, and he decided to give it to us like as a practice test if we wanted to. So I decided to. I can't remember how many of us actually took up the offer. I think one other guy did, but I'm not sure. But I did, and that was the very first video I made, was that practice test. So this is when the channel started, which is kind of wild to think that all this wasn't recorded. Maybe for the best, because it would have been kind of an awkward moment for the channel to not have passed. Okay, so what next? If you're curious about this problems in uniqueness, it was just more convex geometry and stuff, which is what I'm taking now, just maybe from a slightly different angle. So that was that. Some analytic number theory. Number theory is like that course that I want to like, but it's hard for me because I think the results are interesting, but actually sitting down and doing it and understanding the proofs is a bit intimidating for me. It's not, I guess it's not the reason why I do math. To me, measure theory was like the white whale of mathematics. So it was the thing that I had to conquer. I mean, you can say that any of these other things are equally, if not more, challenging. But measure theory was the one that I really wanted to get a firm understanding of and, do something with. So I think that's probably why I liked probability theory as well. A good instructor and measure theory was involved. So for number theory, there was an algebraic number theory course offered in the fall, but I opted to take potential theory instead. So I do kind of feel like I missed out a little bit, but I don't regret taking potential theory. It's just there's too many courses to take. And then in the summer, by the way, all throughout this year, I am studying for the retake of the qual. Like as soon as I failed, I took like a week just to cry. And then when I was done crying, I was like, okay, let's study for this qual. Let's pass it. And that was basically what I did throughout all of this, including up to the summer. So in the summer, I took Calculus of Variations, which is like the applied math course, and then the convexity and harmonic analysis. I think that's what it was called, but it was more convex geometry with a focus on using harmonic analysis as a tool to solve problems in convexity. That was the pure math course. So we took both of these, and this was like when the stress was really getting to me, and you probably saw it on the channel because I was making videos this whole time. But this time, summer 23 ended with a happy ending. I passed that qualifier. It was such a hard road to get there, because this whole sheet of paper is just 2 years, 2 years of studying. And I think I made that video like I don't know what it's called, but you can make a video on the channel where when people come visit you, it's the first video you see. I think like a trailer or something. I don't even know. I made that the trailer for the channel because of how big a deal it was. And then we have this year, fall 23. I took Fourier analysis, convex geometry 1, and then the seminar in measure theory. So the seminar is you listen to people talk about their research. They invite people to come and speak. It's a pretty interesting thing. Excuse me. It's a pretty interesting experience if you're interested in analysis. We do have very interesting speakers. And then I took the convex geometry course, obviously, which is what I've been focused on now. My advisor teaches this class, so it's useful. And me and him were trying to get some sort of paper going along there. I wanted to make a video that talks about my research without actually talking about it, if that makes sense, because research is kind of messy when you're doing it, and you really only want to present it when it's super organized and the results work. You don't want to look behind the curtain, so to speak, if you're familiar with the movie Wizard of Oz. The Fourier analysis class was interesting. When I took this semester, it was the measure theory guy that taught this class. And this class is really kind of up my alley. I like the way that the material is presented. It made more sense to me when I first saw it as opposed to measure theory and complex analysis. So, it depends on, how in depth you want to get, because you can throw measure theory in it as well as complex analysis. It's not like you do one then the other, like one's built on the other. It's more of a network. They're woven together. And eventually this class did get tough, which is what spring 24 is. Fourier analysis 2 was pretty tough for me to get that homework done. And then we had more convex geometry and the seminar and measure theory. So this was the first semester post-qual, or the first year after qual. I wanted to get more research done than I actually did. I'm still kind of looking for other problems to work on, because you need to find something that you can make reasonable progress with. And I feel like if I write at least maybe, I don't know, it depends on the person or the advisor, but 2 or 3 papers of something substantial. Although if you prove something really fantastic, then 1 paper's enough from what it sounds like. But you should really talk more with your advisor about what to expect. But the grass is always greener. A year might go by and you might not make progress, but as long as you keep working and you have something, you've read some paper, you're not just standing still. How about that? Just don't stand still. And but the candidacy thing does bug me, because I really should be doing candidacy at this point, because that's when you only do research and you don't take classes. And it's not like I dislike taking classes. I actually like them. But I know that, 3 years have gone by. We have to make sure that we're moving along. In fact, one of my friends, just 2 days ago, passed his candidacy exam, and I went and watched him to support him, and just for my own benefit, see how it works, so that I'm not, taken by surprise when I'm there. And it was nice. It was a nice experience. Everything was calm. And I think the advisors of the guy, my friend, like if you did something at the board, he goes, okay. Like he would say it in the back, he goes, okay, now draw a square. Okay, now shade underneath this part. And he goes, okay, very good. And then we moved on. You know, it was like he was walking him through an example. Almost. He was competent, to say the least. It wasn't like... Anyway, but you get what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that the advisors and the people there, the people in the committee that are there to watch you, they're not there to kill you. They're there to help you. They really are. That was very comforting for me to see, that they were there to make sure that you succeeded in your candidacy exam. And then we have the future. So in summer 24, we have 2 classes. We have construct or approximation theory, I think is what the class is called. I think this is the applied math course that they offer. They try and group them. They try and give you one applied, one pure. But the guy that teaches this is a pure guy, but I'm pretty sure this is more in the realm of applied mathematics. And then my measure theory instructor that I've had, how many times now? 6. He'll teach a summer course, which he is calling Themes in Analysis. I asked him what exactly they're going to talk about, and I don't really think he knows yet. But, I mean, he has some... It's not like... He knows what he wants to talk about, but he needs to build the syllabus, essentially. So, it's interesting to see what we're going to talk about this, because I asked him, he says it's enough for an undergrad to understand and maybe a beginning graduate student. So I think what he plans to do with this course is to help those that are in the class prepare for their qualifying exam, which they take at the end of that semester. That's what I think from what it sounds like, but we'll see. And then in the fall semester, if I don't do candidacy here, like at the end of summer, then this is what I want to take in the fall. So they're teaching topology for the first time in I don't know how long, and a seminar in measure theory. And yes, I did write complex analysis too, even though I've already taken it. And the reason I put it might change, but the reason I put it there is because the guy that's teaching it is different, and he covers different material, and he said that it was okay if I took it. So because of that, I want to get more analysis skills and take it. But if I'm not allowed to take it, then I'll just take something else. Like, I don't know. I know they offer algebraic number theory that year, but I don't know if I want to do algebra after taking all this analysis. I'd have to remember how to do my algebra at this point. But anyway, that's 3.5 years. I guess technically it is 3 years by this semester, by at least this line. That's 3 years into the PhD program. I want to get done in 4, although it's probably not going to happen, so we'll say 5. And hopefully at the end of year 5, your boy will be a doctor, and he'll be a very happy boy. Very, very tired boy as well, but happy.